Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Hello and welcome to the Corona Cinema Podcast with me, Leon Waite, and I'm joined, as always, by Ross.
Good evening.
I say as always, but he wasn't here last week. It's Mason.
Oh, you alright?
And the person who was kind of here last week and kind of not, May.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
So here we are, all four podcasters back on the same Zoom once again after last week's fiasco. But even still, like, who's Matty, did you watch Black Widow in the end? I don't even know, actually.
I have watched all. Oh, am I frozen?
No.
Oh, you're just all well still. I've watched all the films this week within the last 48 hours. So this is a first for me, I think, in Corona history. So yeah, I did.
We do have a Black Widow section. So at least two of us have seen it. Like last week, me and Ross had only seen the what was it? Another round was the last one. So got me and Matty on the last bit, but Mason and Ross are here for the hijinks before that. What's going on, Ross? Are you both the two isolation bros?
That's why we haven't seen it, because we recorded the last episode on Tuesday, took a test on Wednesday, and I was positive. Then Mason took a test as well, and I must have given it to him. Oh, we got it from the same place, probably. So yeah, that's why we haven't seen it. Why I haven't seen it. So yeah, sorry about that.
Took a test on Wednesday. We were making love by Thursday. No,
We weren't, because we were locked down.
Yeah. Mason, how's the isolation?
Oh, yes, we could. Started a job on Monday. Got sent home on Wednesday. Haven't been back in the office for about 10 days. So yeah, a really good start to the new job. So cheers, Ross.
Good thing cases aren't rising and then opening up the whole country in a couple of days. Otherwise, could be even worse. You know what I've been thinking about? I have a really good idea for a movie.
What is it?
Need to think about how to actualize it, because I've been trying to get on these clinical trials, and you've been like obviously hearing like the potential side effects and all the risks and all that kind of stuff. I'm imagining like it's a clinical trial, but it's organized by like Satanists, and they're trying to, I don't know, inject these people with some kind of demonic gift or something to like unearth some kind of demonic army or something like that. That's the basic idea from the start. Was like, yeah, clinical trial, because how a clinical trial could go wrong. You use that fear and have it be like organized by these evil people.
Like a human Planet of the Apes.
What's a human Planet of the Apes? What does that mean?
It's like in Planet of the Apes, they escape from a lab, don't they?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, in Planet of the Apes, they get out of a lab and just kind of take over, don't they? So it'd be like humans doing that.
No.
Yes, it's the same concept.
I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for that answer. That was really don't know where to go from it. Matty, what do you think of my idea?
I didn't listen to the first bit, but Ross's bit sounded pretty good.
Mason, were you listening?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck Ross is on about Planet of the Apes.
It's Planet of the Apes, all right.
Yeah, I need to figure out what the rest of the parts of the story. But as an idea, it's like, yeah, if you're scared of the risks of doing a clinical trial, just imagine this Satanists trying to enact their nefarious plots on you.
Yeah, to be fair, that's got nothing to do with Planet of the Apes, Ross.
Yeah, no, not not like the idea, just like how the movie goes. They just get out, don't they, and do shit.
But I'm guessing that ends up good for all the trialees in Planet of the Apes. But I'm guessing Leon's version is going to end up really bad for all the people involved. Like, you'll go there and you think you're going to stay in a room for 2 weeks and get a flu jab, and you just get like sacrificed with a goat or something.
It's like scenes you'd like to see when it's like things you wouldn't want to hear in a hospital. And it's like Andy Parsons Please accept this sacrifice, Almighty Satan. That's one of my favorite ones. It's one of the clips that stands out of my mind from that show. Yeah. Should we move on? Should we do head to head? No more banter. Ross, you got any other dumb ideas about things that aren't relevant to
You just reminded me of funny bits from
oh yeah, have you got any?
Mock a Week. There's the bit where the Queen, Frankie Boyles says something like the Queen and says her pussy's so old it's haunted now or something. It's something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I remember finding that funny.
No, he's not even allowed on the show because it's too wild. Too wild with his jokes.
Too funny.
Yeah, exactly.
too funny. That's enough of that. Head to head. Next. Okay, it's the head-to-head section of the Corona Cinema podcast where we pit two films up against each other and rate them according to a series of very basic categories that are very broad and don't really capture what we're talking about. But oh well, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to think of categories that you could discuss that fit all the stuff you want to talk about. And actually, I don't know what I'm going with this. Whatever. Ready or Not is one of the films. I know it's weddings. This is my most creative idea for characters. Where weddings gone wrong. You wouldn't have thought. It's not like you can't Google this. You can't just like trying to find a genre of films to do for a category. I had to really put my mind to this. So you got Weddings Gone Wrong with Ready or Not versus Palm Springs. We'll talk about Ready or Not first. Ready or Not, a bride's wedding night takes a sinister turn when her eccentric new in-laws force her to take part in a terrifying game. It really was terrifying, was it? It was terrifying, May. Were you terrified?
Yeah, Ready or Not. The way it built the suspense, like you knew it was coming the whole way through because like the weird glitchy way it started with the dude getting killed by the crossbow. Spoilers. And then you kind of know this thing's coming all the way through and up until the point where she's hiding and then she still thinks it's a game. Like it's just building and building and building. That kind of like, I was like, all right, I'm not going to jump. And I think a door opened and I jumped at a door opening, like just like nothing really happening. So like I was already on nerves. So yeah, that was a scarier one for me.
Yeah, I do like how she's like kind of like confused, but still finding it to be quite a playful idea. It's like, what do you mean we're going to play a game on our wedding night? Bit weird, but it's like, oh, I'm in my in-laws' house. They're rich people. Rich people are a bit weird. She's kind of into it at the start, and then yeah, obviously chaos ensues thereafter. Mason, what do you make of Ready or Not?
Yeah, this is my second time watching it, and I think it's probably better the second time around. There's a few things that I didn't like about it the first time, probably like the ending and stuff like that. But yeah, no, second time around, it's actually a good film, and I think her acting's pretty good as well. And like, it's funny. It's like got a good blend of funny. It's not really scary, but it's still just like the idea is scary because I feel like there definitely is probably weird families out there like this. And yeah, no, it's a good film. It's a good film.
It also joins the exposed nails hurting characters universe that's built up in my mind. You got A Quiet Place. I also watched a film called Shiver Baby. Was that yesterday? Maybe a few days ago. Even there's like an exposed nail, and you don't actually see it going into her flesh in that film, but she gets cut by it. And then here you got with her hand. Oh my day! It's just so like ominous when they show the camera just shows the nail. They're like, oh fuck, something's gonna happen with that nail in a minute or so, and then yeah, just slams her hand back over the edge onto open bullet wound in her hand onto a nail. So yeah,
her hand has got a hole in it, and she still managed to get into the nail as well. Like it's just disgusting to see.
I don't even feel like you got the hole in your hand. Yeah, I can't even imagine. But yeah.
I think it's better she had the hole in her hand because she didn't have the hole in her hand. She would have put the hand in, and it would have gone through her hand. At least this way, it didn't really touch anything, so it's all good.
Did it go directly in the hole there? That's what she said.
That's what
might have gone like that on the edges. Might have gone on the edges, so you still feel the pain. Don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whether it's very clapped. You know, Ross. You know, there's like random letterbox lists. Where it's like it's really funny like titles. I feel like I've got a good one here. Exposed nails hurting people, and then
I reckon there's more as well that you can probably find to put on there.
Yeah, I'll bear that in mind. Ross, what do you make of Ready or Not?
I really like it because it is quite like playful, and it keeps you kind of on edge with her, and it just makes these weird families that you think are weird just kind of in your mind. You're like, yeah, it's true, they are weird, and I bet they were all like this as well. Yeah, it's funny as well. It's got the right amount of humor in it, and the right amount of kind of playfulness, and the right amount of scariness, and those kind of moments like with the nail and her getting out but then getting recaptured and stuff. But some really satisfying moments as well, like where she smashes the boiling teapot on his head. That's really satisfying. And I think the auntie blowing up was the most satisfying because she's possibly the most annoying character I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, I liked that.
Yeah, I'll talk about her in a minute. I don't really like her. May.
I think you could change this what's it called, this category to contemporary escape films, you know, because they're both trying to escape something. It's not like
that's good.
it's not like The Great Escape or anything like that, but it's more like she's trying to escape both like imminent danger, and the son's trying to escape the curse of the family, and then Jake Peralta's trying to escape repetitive, like day by day nature, you know. So that's
I like
that's me
that.
throwing my idea.
Yeah, that's really smart. I like that's another way to connect these two films. Yeah. Oh, he's blown my mind there on my days. That's made me really excited. I like that. Speaking of, he's linked the two films. Let's talk about the other film. Start talking about the other film, Palm Springs. Stuck in a time loop, two wedding guests develop a budding romance while living the same day over and over again. Palm Springs. I think you hadn't seen this. None of you had seen this before, I don't think. Mason, would you make a Palm Springs?
Yeah, to be fair, it's just another good film, really. I did fall asleep first time watching it, but that's nothing to do with the film.
Oh, yes, great. I fell asleep. It's great.
Wicked, yeah, gone after a bit. But no, I think it's got good pacing in the film. I also like the way that like it's shown to us as the audience, the way that like when she's like, I'm getting out of here, and then you just see her disappear. But then about like 15 minutes later, it then flashes back and you see like the journey she goes through and stuff. So I think it's just a really easy film to watch. Like you can definitely just put this on in the background and it will do its job. It serves its purpose basically.
The main thing is just how this kind of refreshed this. We did Time Loop Week, how this kind of refreshed that genre and put it within like a romantic comedy, and having two characters experiencing it. I don't think that was done before. That's one way they freshened it up, and then also having like you're introduced to the character already in the time loop. It's not like Andy Samberg's living his normal life, attending this wedding, and then we see that transition into, oh crap, I'm stuck in this time loop, and oh, I need to go through it all. Like in the end, it's her who goes through like those stages of like, I'm gonna try kill myself and then try and enjoy myself. You don't see that with him. He's just bang, he's straight in there, straight from the outset. So yeah, I like how it's innovated that particular genre. Is that something you enjoyed, Matty? Something different to do with a time loop film?
Yeah, because I've seen there's not a huge amount of time loop films out there, and each of them have been a little bit different. Like Edge of Tomorrow versus Groundhog Day. Those two are quite different. And then this one again is I don't know, it's probably my favorite now, just because it's new and exciting, and it's got J.K. Simmons in it. It works really well, as you say, by he's already in it and he doesn't know. I like to toy with the idea that he's been there for like a million days. That'd be cool. Like he's just been there for so long, he's kind of like forgotten who he is, but he just goes through the motions. But the thing I don't like about it is how quickly people turn to killing themselves, I think, because that's like an ingrained thing as a human being, that you do not kill yourself. Like almost everyone's like programmed for natural preservation, and I think you have to. It's like they're there for like 3 days, and she's like, right, I'm going to drive into a bus. I can't remember how many days it is, but it's like, I don't know. I think she would have been there for ages. I think before you kind of like, because there must be some doubt in your mind. It's not like a finite science. Just because Andy Samberg's told you that you're not going to die, I mean, he might not even be real. You know, you might be hallucinating, and then you just drive into a bus and kill yourself. So like that bit, but the film's very extreme, and at the time you don't think about that. Like it's like it goes along perfectly, and he's also funny himself, and then having another character to balance that off, like having one person who's been there, done that. Because like watching what's his name in Groundhog Day go over go through everything for the first time. You've seen that kind of story of someone experiencing everything for the first time, so that's done. But now watching him trying to mentor someone out of it, and then watching two people do different things with the same day is really nice. And then J.K. Simmons is also like another way of dealing with it, where he goes through a lot of anger, and then he kind of like resolves it as well by getting like hit by a car, and then he just decides to enjoy himself with his family. So it's just, I don't know, it's both funny and it also makes you think. So I think it's probably my favorite time loop film so far.
Ross, Palm Springs, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really cute. Like I watched the last season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I think I didn't have my Andy Samberg closure from it properly. I wanted more, and then this was a nice way to get my closure, you know. But no, it is really cute. Like as you said, I don't think I'd go through the quantum physics option myself if I was in the situation and learning all that. That's just long. Like I feel like this film makes it way easy. It makes it look way easier to get a grasp of than it actually is, because you don't really know how long she's been gone for when she's like trying to figure it out.
I reckon it's years.
Yeah, it must be to like figure out how to end the loop. Like you've got to be pretty smart. I think what this one does, that say like Groundhog Day does, is like every day they kind of go off and do different things. Like Groundhog Day, he tries to live the same day and make it and get it right. But this one, he just kind of might do this one day, might do this the next day. They kind of go off and do different things every day, which I think is more likely what you'd do in this situation. But yeah, I quite like having J.K. Simmons in there as well. It's and then you have your closure with his character as well at the end, where he goes to see, and it's just quite funny seeing what Andy Samberg is like when he's normal, like before the loop would have happened. It's quite funny seeing him there at the end when J.K. Simmons gets his ending, which I think I was thinking that like, when I watched it and they got out, I was like, what about Roy? And then Roy got his ending, so I'm glad they did that, because I thought they weren't going to for a second. But yeah, I'll say it again, it's really cute, I think.
Two good films. There's two categories: performances. So Ready or Not. This is, you got the Ready. There was, yeah, like we talked about that old lady. I reckon the funny thing with Ready or Not, there's like 3 actors in here who I hadn't seen in films in like 25 years. So it's really weird to see them as like older people now, whereas I only knew them as like younger. Like got the dad is the guy in the first Mission Impossible, the one where when Tom Cruise is like, "You've never seen me very upset." He's saying that to that guy, Mission Impossible. Then you got the Andy McDowell. She's from another time loop film. That's funny. Another Link. She's in Groundhog Day, obviously, and quite a few other stuff. She pretty much like, for like after the mid-90s, she like her career just died. This is like one of the few films she's actually done that people watched. You look at IMDb, it's like literally there's like, I don't know, 100 people watched it. Don't know. Yeah. And then you got this old lady who I didn't like in this film. She was in a little film called Cube, which is an interesting film, a flawed film. Again, not very good acting. She clearly hasn't improved as an actor since then, in the last 25 years or whatever, because she's very, like Ross said, she was just very annoyed. Just a lot of cliches coming out of her mouth, just desperately trying to seem like, I don't know, yeah, just desperately trying to seem creepy and like, yes, we must do it. We must, it's a bit Gollum, must execute the plan. She must die. Like, yeah.
She's not leaving her flat.
Yeah, Andy Hopkins in the file. She's not leaving this flat. Yeah, fuck her. But the main actress in Ready or Not, yeah, like we said, she's very good, very charismatic. I like her cackle when they start exploding. I think that's my favorite. Like, yeah, shot of her just laughing at the people who are trying to take her out. They're finally being destroyed, and she's just like with the blood dripping all over her face. Yeah, my favorite part of her. I thought she was strong. Even there's some other decent performances, like support performances, a lot of overacting going on. So obviously we talked about the old lady, and then you got Emily, where she first does the coke in the mirror, just like smacks it over her face and screams into the mirror, accidentally kills 2 people as well in this film. But yeah, overall, Mason, what are you thinking about the acting over these 2 films?
Yeah, I think for me it's Ready or Not. Like I know you said some of them are overacting, but that seems fine because they seem like there's like balances where they try to come across as really evil, but then they also just have no idea what they're doing at the same time. Where they're like, I just fucking turn the cameras on. It's not our fault we didn't have cameras back in the day. And she's like, you need to respect tradition. Like she ruins it because, like you said, I feel like she read her script and was like, all right, I'm going to try and be very evil, like this evil old lady. She acts like a nan. She acts like the evil nan, but she's not. She's like the aunt. And yeah, she does like kind of distract from the film. Like when she speaks, it's just like shut up. Like you just sit, and because she's short, it's just more annoying as well because she's just sat there in the corner just throwing shit out. But I think acting. I like this film. Like I think all like all around. I guess it's hard to compare because there's only like three like people really in Palm Springs, but overall, I still think this film. I think they have a nice balance of like their acting, and you got thingy from Orphan Black Leon as well.
Yeah.
Donnie.
Yeah. Fitch is funny.
Yeah, playing like quite a funny character as well. So I think that I think they have more scope here really, all the characters, because they're all quite unique. Like I think there's a very clear difference between all of the in-laws and how they act and how they respond to everything compared to like the family themselves who are trying to continue like tradition and stuff. So I think they have more opportunity in this film.
I think Palm Springs, like I don't know, I'm leaning towards Palm Springs because of the strength of the two main actors in that very nuanced performances. Ross, where you leaning towards at this point of acting the two films?
They both actually do have good acting. Yeah, I think Grace, the main in Ready or Not, is very good, and there's just like solid performances. Kind of the brother Daniel, he's quite good in it. Alex, the husband, he's fine, and then Andy McDowell's like fine. But no, I think I lean towards Palm Springs just because, like, for someone like Andy Samberg as well, it's a very different role for him, I think, and a more serious role, which he pulls off really well. And then, of course, you got like J.K. Simmons, who's just a great actor anyway, and like moments, but that moment between them two when they both kind of sat there and grounded down, it felt quite real. And that's what I liked, and he kind of got that emotion across well. And yeah, and the other main, I can't remember her name, but she's really good as well. And kind of they all capture the emotions of the characters well. Whereas Ready or Not, I think, although a lot of them are fine, people like the aunt and like Emily, they're just so over the top. It kind of bugs me how over the top they are. Especially the aunt, like I've said earlier, and I'll say it again. She's so annoying. She's the worst character I've seen, like in the film. It's the same level as Get Out. The brother, how just annoying he is. It just like distracts you from the film because it's just annoying. It's the same level as that. So yeah, maybe she just ruins it for me. Let's just go Palm Springs because of her.
Christina Milioti is the name of the lead actress in Palm Springs. I think she's she's very good. Andy Samberg as well, like kind of keeping that relaxed vibe, and then slowly, like obviously his whole aura is one of someone who doesn't care anymore. Just everything's meaningless because he's been in this loop for so long, and the way he kind of inches towards caring about something, and that something being what's her name? Sarah. So yeah, where he inches towards the caring once again, I think he gets that across quite well. Matty, did you enjoy the performances in Palm Springs? Are they ahead for you of Ready or Not?
Yeah, I'd probably say Palm Springs is stronger because they're harder roles to play. They're not classic roles. They're people dealing with very nuanced things, like you said. They're very difficult things to deal with, but also they have to be funny as well, to the point that you make you laugh, but not annoying. So they still actually look like they're going like they're not in a sitcom. They're still in a film, but they still have to be funny, but not like they're trying to be funny. So it makes me like Andy Samberg. He's just funny to watch how he deals with things. And like when he like sticks his middle finger up at the barman and then just flies through the doors as the barman throws him out, like towards the end of the film. I love that bit because he's just like, it just works. Like it's just the way he is. He just acts funny, not because he's acting, because that's the way he acts. If that makes any sense, he's a funny person. And that
Funny
you
how?
can't really, you can't really get that from anyone else apart from Joe Pesci, maybe. And Ready or Not, I feel like everyone overacts their roles a bit, but that's not a bad thing. Like I like it because it's very like Knives Out esque. It's like it reminds me of that kind of category of film, and a bit like Logan Lucky as well. That kind of like modern, lots of pieces moving in a story kind of thing, kind of like a reveal thing. I like that. And I don't think the old lady is like overacting necessarily because like everyone knows a really annoying old lady that just like doesn't like students or doesn't like kids playing with a football, and they'll like call the police on them. And this woman's basically a billionaire, so doesn't deal with real people and is really entitled, and she's just like she's a bitch basically. So everyone knows someone like that, and you can see how someone like that would just like say whatever they want. They don't care as long as they get their way. So I think she's actually well acted, and if she's aiming to be annoying and a hag, she fucking smashed it. But I'd still give it to Palm Springs, I think.
Me too. Palm Springs takes the point there. The story, Ready or Not, it's interesting, kind of like, I guess, societal ideas in terms of these, like you just imagine rich people having these like weird cultish traditions among them, and whenever that's explored in a film, I feel like that's always kind of fun. There's like there's a sinister reason behind these people getting their wealth, and maybe it's not necessarily them making a pact with the devil. It's something in the world. That's how they acquire. That's how billionaires become billionaires, by doing something that's not always untoward. Yeah, not for any hard work. So that's a nice little element of a ready or not. But Palm Springs is the one for me. I think it's just a really smart film. It's really fun, entertaining at times, light-hearted comedy, and a good time-loop film. I think some of the themes within Palm Springs are really strong. Like it's like kind of like Niles has completely forgotten everything in his like past life, so that's how he's able to just not care. Where she's got like the most horrifying memory, literally from the day before, in always like there in her mind, and she wants to escape that throughout the whole film. So she's desperate to get out of this time loop because all she can think about is how she fucked her sister's husband to be the night before the wedding. So she's going through the whole thing. Once you've having this is the third time I'd seen it, so really like watching it with that, knowing that you see that extra like I don't know, energy in her performance because she's so desperate to escape that kind of trauma, for want of a better words. I think that's a really smart thing they do in that film. So I think Palm Springs would definitely take it for me. Mason, what about you in terms of story?
Yeah, I think it's definitely Palm Springs. Like you said, that scene, that reveal where you understand that is that right, isn't it? Where every morning she wakes up, she has to see him still. That's why it's always like a constant reminder, isn't it?
Well, she's just like, if she doesn't see him because he's in the shower, it's like she still just wakes up in his bed. Like,
she's still,
like you still feel that shame immediately every time. It literally feel the shame every time you wake up. You're feeling like the most like intense shame. So it's probably that's why you desperately want to get out of that situation.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it, because it's kind of like if that happened the day before, or even if she didn't have to wake up with him, she may be able to kind of ignore it and kind of forget about it a bit more. But then equally, it's still her sister's wedding every morning when she wakes up. So, it has that weight to it. So she can't escape it. But I think like you said with the story, what I really like is that they don't even attempt once to try and explain the loop or how it works or where it kind of come from or anything like that. It's just, I like it when it's just like, accept it, it's there. And we don't really see much of it. It's just a light in the tunnel, like that works perfectly for me, because I'd have to try and understand some science bullshit in the film. But then equally, it just makes the film a bit more enjoyable, because when it's done properly like that and you don't feel the need to explain yourself, it works really well. And I think it makes the film a lot more kind of accessible and stuff. So yeah, when it comes to story, I think this one just feels like so well like concluded when it finishes, and it gives you that like kind of like happy feeling as well.
You know what the biggest issue for me with the plot of Ready or Not, Ross, is by the end, where like, so obviously they're trying to kill this woman throughout the night. They've made multiple attempts to try kill her by shooting her or whatever. But now by the time we get to the end, they keep like having to put her on this table and recite like a satanic script or whatever before killing her. And eventually that's what leads to them dying, because they take too long with that. So why do they have to do that at the end? But initially they were just happy to just like shoot her straight away. Like, unless I guess like maybe they're just trying to shoot her to paralyze her so they could pick her up and put her onto this table. But Like Emily shot that girl right in the fucking head, so it would have been her, so she would have killed her. So what happens then if you just kill her normally? I want to know what happens in that situation. I don't know. That was like kind of my biggest issue.
Yeah, it's quite weird, isn't it? Because they they have to do the ritual and they talk about the ritual, but I feel like they never said anything about the ritual until about halfway through the film. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe it's just Emily because she's all coked up. That's why she was just going around shooting people in the face, bam, in the mirror. Like it was yeah, maybe that's why it was just Emily just being Emily. And then I can't think whether they talk about the ritual earlier on in the film or not, because I can't remember whether they do or not. Yeah, I think it's just kind of for the tenseness of the film. That's why they build it up like, oh, she's about to die, then something just like exploding.
So who gets your vote? Story?
Palm Springs.
Matty?
What? Who gets my vote on story?
Yeah.
I would probably say Palm Springs is more about watching like them two like develop as characters, even though because it doesn't go anywhere because it's still the same day technically. So from the end of the film to the start of the film, you've moved one day. So there's not much going on really as a story. And I wouldn't say there's a huge amount of like any like characters like development Andy Samberg has is pretty like flimsy, I would say. But like the character development that the main character in Ready or Not has, I'd say it's a lot more substantial, and she kind of just learns how to like everyone else is being dickheads, so I'm just gonna fucking survive myself. I don't need nobody. So I'd say that's a lot stronger, and like the realization she comes to, and also I hope she gets all the money because technically she's a widow to a very financial family. So I want to know what happens about the money, and is the money cursed? Does it carry on? Who knows? Anyway, but yeah.
But anyway, Palm Springs takes story. Okay, let's rattle through the rest of them. Visual style. Palm Springs got that nice Californian sunshine vibe going on by the pool. It's always nice. It's delightful from the outset to seeing him chilling on that pizza inflatable thing. Yeah. But Ready or Not, there's something really creepy just about like an old mansion when it's been there for hundreds of years. Just the little details in that place kind of wigs you out a bit. So yeah, visually, what attracted you, Ross?
They're very opposite with their visual style, because I think Ready or Not's quite cool the way the whole kind of house is like dark and like it's got these like browns and orange kind of tones just everywhere around the house, and she's wearing this like white dress which is kind of making her pop within these dark scenes, and I think that's pretty cool. But I think Palm Springs, the way it looks is just like, it looks nice, and you kind of, I don't want to be stuck in the loop, but I want to be in Palm Springs. I want to be on that pizza, So it's got like a holiday feel to it and a relaxed kind of vibe to it, and so I think I'll go Palm Springs.
May, only 6 million budget for Ready or Not. I thought that was it doesn't look like big budget, but I thought that was they made a good use of that budget. I thought to make this film look good.
I'd say they're pretty like equal. I'd say they're equally as good as each other, but Palm Springs just looks, I know it's not, but it just looks like Netflix, It feels just a bit too cheap and common and recreated. But it's meant to be just like a shit wedding in the middle of nowhere, and it does, to be honest. And then Ready or Not kind of gives the same like old house creepy ritual vibes as most films do. So I'd say I'm going to suggest the tie, to be honest, because I think they both do equally well what they're trying to do.
So for the first time ever, Matty gives a tied point on that one. I don't know. I haven't got a ruling on this. It's not in the rule book, so we'll have to figure out. Hopefully, it doesn't come down to that. Mason, where you thinking for visual style?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go for Palm Springs. I think both just deliver what you expect them to deliver. Like I said, Ready or Not is just, you expect kind of a dark, kind of gloomy film. It doesn't really achieve anything amazing. It just kind of, it read the assignment, done it. And I guess Palm Springs visuals annoy me a little bit because I feel like they're trying to beg it. Like I can't just like decide here. Like it's a bit annoying for me. Like Palm Springs, I was just like, okay, like it didn't feel like in place for the film, but I still prefer like a brighter like aesthetic and stuff like that. And I guess it suits the film as well. So a bit of a dead category, I think, to be honest, this week when it comes to like visuals and stuff. So I'd still give it to Palm Springs though.
Harsh. I'll also give it to Palm Springs. So that Palm Springs got every point so far. Wow, mad. So it's already won. It's already won with 2 categories to spare. But let's proceed anyway. Tone. This was an interesting category, I thought, for me, because that was I don't know, because I feel like Palm Springs managed to have like a lot of the kind of wacky humor, like when they do like the dancing in the bar and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that wacky kind of comedy laced between a lot of kind of deeper themes, which I kind of talked about, like especially with the Christina Miliotti's character and her journey. And I thought they managed to pack a lot into a very short 90-minute runtime and keep that balance pretty well. Whereas, I don't know, Ready or Not, I can't say Ready Player One, Ready or Not, at times kind of lurched too far into like a farcical film in certain point. I don't know, it just wasn't as effective. And here they just try certain points they just tried to force the comedy too much, whether it was through the old aunt or through Emily. Yeah, I don't know. Just did it always feel as organic as I wanted it to be. So I feel like it didn't balance those tones as well as I wanted to. Especially in scenes where like the family just kind of stop and talk for a couple of minutes. I'm like, is this really working within the content of this film? I don't know. What are you thinking, Mason, in terms of tone between these 2 films?
I was gonna give it to. I was about to say Ready Player One as well. For sake, Ready or Not, but now you said it. There is a few scenes, like you said, with the families. It's just a bit annoying. Like, you know, when they're on FaceTime to the driver, that really doesn't work for me. Like, it's just a bit cringy when they're like, "Oh, she's behind you. She's behind you. No, no." I don't get how she kicks like around the chair as well. But even still, like, that's just a bit annoying. And it's just a bit like, I know you're a weird rich family, but you still don't function like that. Like, if you can function pretty well when it comes to trying to murder someone, I feel like you should be able to act a bit more normal when it comes to a FaceTime. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It's just a bit of a weird one. So I guess when it comes to tone, I guess Palm Springs probably is better because they balance out these 2 like opposites who are experiencing the same thing. But like you said, one of them's on like her first day, where the other's probably been there for years. So I think the tone of that just works really well for me because it's like, again, it's pretty easy, it's pretty cheap to do, but it just works well when you've got like this one character who's introducing another character to this like lifestyle and this experience, and she has like the fear at first and she starts to enjoy it, and then she's like, "No, I'm done with this, I'm breaking out." And he's like, "Oh, you can't break out." So yeah, that runs through the film really well for me.
Ross, what are you thinking in terms of tone?
They're kind of like at the other end of each other, if that makes sense. I don't think that makes sense. But like Palm Springs kind of has like it's like more relaxed, you know, and then Ready or Not is like a high kind of pressure tone, and then they kind of meet in the middle with the comedy. But I think they're in them both trying to be like funny. Palm Springs is way more like natural with it, and with the relaxed vibe, it goes quite well with them kind of not caring, and it makes the tone a lot kind of more. I mean, it's trying to be more of a comfortable watch, but it achieves that in a way where, as a viewer, you kind of feel relaxed and comfortable watching it. So I think they get the tone really well in Palm Springs. So yeah,
May, where do you think which achieved the tone they were going for better?
Ready or Not probably achieves a clearer tone.
What? Not.
Ready or Not. Ready or Not. Ready or Not. I say that achieves a clearer tone because you're not trying to figure out what the bloody film's about all the way through. But I suppose then that's what Palm Springs is about, trying to figure out what it's all about. But the whole film's about figuring it out, you know?
No.
But I kind of like thought less in Ready or Not, and I was just there for the ride, I guess. But it also meant it didn't mean anything. She just went through this like awful thing, and it was just explained by a curse, and then she blew up. So it's just like, well, that happened. She's gonna have like therapy for the rest of her life now and probably never get married, which is great. But then Palm Springs is like explained by a quantum event, which is just like there to give a storyline. And they're both just like, well, that happened. Let's just live the rest of our lives. So I can't do another tie. I'd say Ready or Not, Ready or Not.
I'm saying Palm Springs, so it wins again. The next category, the unique category, wedding. What was a better wedding? I saw Matty slated the Palm Springs wedding. That was a bit of a shock. It's like I was at some dead wedding in the middle of nowhere. That wasn't the vibe I got. I thought it was a really beautiful location. Nice and intimate. Nice lighting in the evening when they crowd around the table. I don't like big weddings. Some like stuffy hall. That's a bit annoying. So, Matty, do you want to speak more about your opinion there? There was a bit of a dead wedding in Palm Springs.
Well, no, there's like dead speeches. Parents are annoying. The broom. What's the dude? The groom.
The broom.
The broom. He cheated. It's just all just like a shit show, wasn't it, to be honest. But to be fair, I'd still rather go there because there's alcohol there. So yeah, the broom.
So is Palm Springs your better wedding than Ready or Not?
For me, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, it didn't really end with like loads of people dying either. So
no, I'm not talking about that. What happens after? I'm just talking about the actual wedding. So you're just a guest. You get to go home. You get to go home afterwards. Which
Palm
one's
Springs? Palm Springs.
Mason? You don't want to be on that lawn outside that mansion.
Yeah, it's a bit cheap, really, considering how rich they are. Like in the house that they live in, they just went, "Oh, we'll just have the wedding in the garden, the back garden." And literally, like the whole wedding is literally just a ceremony, and then that's it, done. And it's like a photo shoot. So as a guest, I'm not gonna have much of a good time. So Palm Springs. I feel like at Palm Springs, it'd be like there's not like a designated dance floor, but it's just like a bit of mud, like a bit of dirt, like a bit of dust. You just kind of like you have a little kind of like 1-2 step there. So I feel like yeah, and I reckon the bar's still free at Palm Springs as well. So I reckon that's good.
Yeah, but she says bad wine. Remember, that's what the barmaid says. She also said to pouring up drinks like bad wine. But I don't care about that. Yeah, Ready or Not. It doesn't even seem like there's any kind of reception going on. Ready or Not. It's just like you had the wedding. That was it. It's like they weren't letting other people in the house. I don't think. But yeah, Ross. Which I'm guessing you're going with Palm Springs as well, unless you like your weddings. Just give me a ceremony. Let me get out of there. Don't want any funny business afterwards. No silly receptions.
Well, yeah, I think I'll go with Palm Springs. I don't know. It's like what Mason said. It's kind of just like getting married at your own house. It seems kind of cheap, doesn't it? Because it'd be weird getting married than just like being like going in the house. All right, at home now. There's no like, yeah, I don't know. Whereas Palm Springs, she's from Texas, isn't she? So they've driven like across the whole country to get there, and it's quite cute how they're all staying in this little villa and stuff as well. And yeah, surely if you're a guest there, you'd be staying in Palm Springs with a house that they paid for as well. I assume the bar's free as well. I don't care if it's cheap wine, if it's free. So, Palm Springs for the win.
Whitewash, because I'm going to Palm Springs as well. Whitewash for Palm Springs this week. Takes all the points. And that ends the head-to-head. Okay. Should we play a game?
Yeah,
So,
the best bit.
You know the Blockbuster thing that we did last week, just reading out categories and you list films. Who won that? I can't remember.
I won. I beat May. You didn't win, May. I won.
Okay, so because how I wanted to do it is like, so okay, so Ross won, so he's like he's in like a fight, he's in the final, and then Matty and Mason have to compete to try face him, and that's how we're gonna do it. So
go on then.
I only took up 4 cards. That's all I'm using because I'm not going back over there to get more cards. I say back over there. It's not even in the drawer. It's literally there, right there. I could just reach over right now and grab it, but I can't be asked. So it's one. Actually, yeah, that's the semi-final. The semi-final just has one category. Whoever wins goes straight through. The final will have best of 3. That's how I'm gonna do it. So Mason, I'm just gonna read out, like, for example, movies with John Travolta, and you have to just say a movie with John Travolta, and you go back, like whoever says it first, then Matty will say one, and then you will say one until someone can't say anything, and then that's it. 3, 2, 1. Movies with dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. The Disney version.
Palm Springs.
The Good Dinosaur.
Jurassic Park.
Did Barney ever have a film?
I have no idea. Ross is googling it as we speak.
Is he?
Yeah, he definitely had a film.
I saved all of the dinosaurs.
Barney's Great Adventure.
So yeah,
Oh,
mate,
sorry.
that's your answer. Go.
Jurassic World.
Wait.
I said Jurassic
Nah,
Park. and Jurassic World.
franchises. We only
Actually,
allow
no. I'm gonna rule on this. You can have Jurassic World, but nothing else. If
Yeah.
because that's
Fair.
kind of, even though it's a sequel, it's more of like a reboot kind of see. It's one of those ones. I'll take it. It's fine. No more from that universe, please.
Can I go?
Yeah.
King Kong.
That's a gorilla, mate. I'm joking. I know there's a dinosaur in there.
Is Godzilla a dinosaur?
Huh?
Is Godzilla a dinosaur? I feel like he is. Or is he just a Godzilla?
No, I don't think so.
Show me the fossil.
He looks like a fucking dinosaur to me.
No, isn't he like I don't know, a reptile?
I'll tell you. No, I'm out. I can't be asked. I'm out.
He's out. Mate, did you have an answer if he said something?
Land of the Lost and Kong Skull Island.
Okay, let's move on. The final is Ross versus May, and it's best of 3. If we can even get that far, we'll see. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready. 3, 2, 1. Movies with trains.
The Incredibles.
Does it have to have like just a train in a scene?
Yeah, fine. Yes, but it's very broad. But yeah, let's go with that.
Skyfall from the underground scene.
Source Code.
The Lone Ranger.
Mission Impossible 7. I think he goes on the train. Does he?
I mean, I thought you were just going to say the first one. That's
yeah, the first one, Mission Impossible.
Like one of the most
that's what I was thinking of.
It's like the most famous scene in the franchise. With a train.
Yeah, there you go. Mission Impossible.
The Polar Express.
Spider-Man 2.
Oh, okay. Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, the one we watched with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. What's it called?
10,
Oh yeah.
9.
The if you ever see Corrosion, Colossal, Corride.
3.
What's it called?
2,
Collateral.
1.
Huh?
You're out.
Collateral.
You're out.
Collateral. Just say Collateral.
Collateral.
Keep him in.
Oh.
Keep him in. Keep him
No,
in.
he's out. He's out. We're moving on to the next category.
Damn it. All right.
Unstoppable.
Fair
North
enough.
by Northeast or West.
What's
Okay,
the
next
one?
category. May's 1-0 up.
Okay.
Can he win it in straight sets?
Easy.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Movie set during Christmas.
The Holiday.
Elf.
Love Actually.
Arthur Christmas.
Die Hard.
Yeah. Fred Claus.
Little Women.
Christmas. The Muppets. Christmas Carol.
Bad Santa.
That's a good film. Last Christmas.
Fuck. Shit. Polar Express.
Bastard. This is shit film. Don't watch it. The Holiday. No offense. A date for every holiday.
Oh, motherfucker. Why can't I think of any Christmas films? There's so many. Oh, bull cheese. I'm not doing very well here. Jingle All the Way.
That was mine. The Grinch.
Oh, bollocks. This is hard. It's not, but it is when you're on the spot. I feel like if I wasn't doing this, I'd be able to think of those. Gremlins.
I haven't seen it, but I'm guessing the Nativity.
Oh yeah. Iron Man 3.
Bastard. Home Alone.
What?
Oh
Oh yeah, Home Alone.
Home Alone. You what?
Oh my days. It's actually really hard. At Christmas. Edward Scissorhands.
Is that a Christmas film just because it's snowing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not set at Christmas.
All right. Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's not set at Christmas. That's summer.
Yeah, he does. He goes to Christmas Town.
Yeah, no, everyone's got Christmas in the title.
yeah, that as well.
4 Christmases.
Bad Mums. Is that what it's called?
That's not set at Christmas.
Yeah, the second one is.
Why do you
Bad
say?
Moms
Why do you
2.
say the second one? Then?
That's what I meant.
They both were.
I thought of that when you said that. Bad Mums 2.
Is Deck the Halls a thing?
Yeah,
Daddy's Home 2.
this is going on too long. I'm not gonna lie. Might have to declare it a draw and move on to the next one.
That's right. Let me have this one. We'll play for it in the final.
Fine.
Sweet.
Ross wins. Okay, I'm gonna make up one right now. That's hard because that was excruciatingly long. Movies.
I believe we name more Christmas films than trains.
3, 2, 1. Movies with a wedding.
Ready or not?
Palm Springs.
Hey!
4 weddings and a funeral.
Yeah, safe to say there's a wedding in there.
At least, that's worth at least 4.
Mamma Mia.
Who gets married? 101 Dalmatians, they definitely get married because they meet at that film, so the dogs are going to be at the wedding.
It doesn't feel like a Friday.
Harry Potter and the Deathly
so.
Hallows Part 1. Bill and Fleur's wedding.
Bridesmaids.
Bill and Fleur.
No idea who that is.
What'd you say, Ross?
Bridesmaids.
Human. The Office, season 6, episode.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, no.
Nah, I'm out. I don't know.
The Incredibles.
Ross
I'm out. I
wins.
just-
Ross wins. Fucking hell, that was long.
I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
Choose how the
Christ.
categories are done.
Right. In future, it's just
I'm the
one.
champion.
It's just one and out. No, none of this. That was Christ.
Yeah, but last time it didn't take
Mason's nearly dead. He's that bored. Look at him.
Look at it. Look at it.
You're right, Mace.
Oh, that's fun. I fucking love that.
Shouldn't have gone out so early then.
Shut the fuck up. You should have taken so long.
If
Yeah,
you
it's
got left stupid.
We did it last week. It didn't take as long.
You shouldn't know that many fucking Christmas films.
What do you mean? It's the most wonderful time of year.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot
So-
that one.
On that note, goodbye to Ross and
Fuck
Mason.
me, I could have left about 10 minutes ago.
Who haven't seen Black Widow.
Please.
So I'm going to spoil it right now.
Oh no!
Come
Bye.
At
on,
the
let's
end,
go. Let's go back
there's-
into isolation.
All right, let's go.
She
We've only got
meets.
2 days.
Two
Bye,
days,
bye,
guys.
bye.
Bye. Okay, the main review for this week: Black Widow, back in the MCU after a long it's 2 years. Yes, 2 years since 2 years this month since Spider-Man Far From Home. So pretty mad back in the world of the MCU. Yeah, before we dive into the latest installment in this enormous franchise, here's the trailer.
You don't know everything about me. I've lived a lot of lives. Before I was an Avenger. Before I got this family. I made mistakes choosing between what the world wants you to be and who you are.
It was real to me. To me, you were everything.
Bring her home.
Put your seatbelts on. She's such a mom.
that was a good trailer. Oh, but Matt, did you enjoy that trailer?
Yeah, not my stocks off. I'm gonna go get them now. It's mad.
Yeah, it makes me want to see the film all over again, but we can't because we're about to talk about the new film starring Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, David Harbour, and Rachel Weisz. Also a bit of Ray Winstone in there as well, which was quite funny. But before we get into the nitty gritty of Black Widow, Matt, what was it just like to have the MCU back in your life?
I thought like, MCU's over. MCU is over because it's just like the big five are gone. You know, the original Avengers, like they're never going to get back together again. And it's just like probably seen our last Avengers film that's like a classic one. So it just felt like, oh, they're bringing about like the Eternals and the Rings of Wasseypur or whatever they are. You know, it just feels like a bit like, ugh. But then watching this film, like this was a good film. Like I didn't think it would be as good as it was, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's like it was a little bit too much of a grand scale towards the end, but that's what Marvel films are. So they couldn't help themselves, and I think they did it well. Yeah, basically.
It's funny, like, because by the time Endgame came out, I was a bit like MCU fatigue. Like Infinity War was like an elite experience. Like the hype, everything building up to that was like insane. By the time Endgame came around, I was kind of like, I did because I don't really like Captain Marvel, which came up before it. Then like Endgame came around, it's like, yeah, I still went to the midnight release, but I still enjoyed it, but it was kind of like it was a bit long, and they had to wrap up a lot of loose ends, so it was not as evenly paced as I thought Infinity War was, which I thought was like perfect in terms of showcasing all the characters. And then also Far From Home, I didn't really like. I liked it, but still thought it was a bit more flawed than a lot of the other films. So yeah, it was kind of not like I'll still always be engaged by the MCU because I've seen all of the films, so it's hard not to be. I wasn't like necessarily awaiting the next installment kind of thing. Watching it in the cinema as well helped. Like coming back to the MCU in the cinema made it more impactful, I thought. The only thing that is annoying is like with these new TV shows, which I'm not that interested to go into the TV. Like I'm not really a TV show kind of guy, but definitely not like MCU TV shows. Not really my bag. So when it's like when they start having more of a bearing on the like cinematic universe, that's where it could get a bit annoying. Like they had that. I'm guessing you watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I only found out today that the final scene in Black Widow, which to obviously talk about like that woman's from Falcon and the Winter. So I didn't know that. I thought she's just some random person. Then I listened to a podcast today, and it's like, oh no, she's from one of the TV shows. So that might challenge people like me who don't really want to dive into the TV shows, who still want to keep up what's going on in the MCU. So yeah, there'll be an interesting dynamic going forward. But I think what's interesting about this one is obviously it's not, apart from that final scene, the post-credit scene, this isn't like furthering the MCU story, because obviously this is taking place between after Captain America Civil War. So in really like it's kind of weird they didn't do this film then. I don't know if that was like a plan, and the kind of like other stuff got in the way. They're focusing on other stuff, and then the Black Widow film just kind of didn't happen, but they still wanted to do it. But it was weird to like open this new phase with a film where like the main character is dead already in the franchise. We already know her fate. So what do you make of that like decision? I guess going in knowing that the Black Widow film, we already know the main actress is not going to be in this universe going forward. Obviously, got Florence Pugh is going to probably be a big part of it. But yeah, it's an interesting way to start a new chapter in the MCU.
Yeah, I think films like this and maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp just could have been released a lot earlier before Infinity War. To be fair, this comes out at nice times, and it goes back and doesn't fill in gaps per se, but it fills in like just like more character stuff. And I don't know, I liked you get a bit more of an idea of who she was and where she came from, what it was like. They obviously like had to like change from what we saw in Age of Ultron, from when the Scarlet Witch kind of like changed her mind augmentation and made her see things from the Red Room before. That was obviously a very different Red Room than what we see now. Like I kind of like don't like that they got rid of Julie Delphi because she was in the Red Room at first, but I get that she thought the Red Room's been toppled over. So now this is like a new iteration, I guess. But it seems like Ray Winston, Bet365, has been in it from the start. And I think he kind of attempted a Russian accent, but not quite. I'm not really sure what happened there. It's just interesting now how Ray Winston, like, he just always turns up as just like did he even go to drama school? Like, I don't know, like he just always turns
I
up.
watched Sexy Beast last week. He's
Yeah.
good. That's I think that's like his most famous, like kind of more not serious, but like proper acting role. He's good.
Well, yeah,
He's good. He's good in that.
Great Expectations, doesn't he? Like he's
Mm.
like he was good in this film, but it's just funny because it's Ray Winston, you know, vote Lib Dem, you slag. Like it's just funny because he just turns up in these things. But no, he was good in this, and it was an interesting route they took in this as well. That they went more with like the mind control with augmentation and pheromones and chemical control, rather than like it's a big new super weapon that's going to blow up the planet. That was nice. That was believable, and it fits in alongside other things without it kind of like interfering. Because you know, when there's too many world-ending events happening like all the time every year, and it's like, how do they not collide? Or like
It was. I thought it was less. It was less like superhero-y for the MCU. It was more like a spy kind of thriller, like a Mission Impossible kind of thing going on. I thought that I thought that was effective.
Mm.
And I was talked about Florence Pugh, how she's probably going to be, based on that last scene, she's going to be a prominent figure probably in the next phase. Maybe she's going to be. I thought she might even be in like in a TV series of something like this. I don't know. I feel like she's less like. I feel like she's too big to be in TV at this point.
I feel like
I don't know.
this Valentina or whatever her name is, this lady that she's going around. I feel like she's just going to start collecting people who aren't necessarily superheroes. Because you haven't seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, have you?
No.
But there's one character in that who's not really an important character, but he is a super being. He's not really a hero, I guess. So that's like one person that she's working with, and now she's getting this person. So whether they're putting something together for like season 2 of Falcon Winter Soldier, or because that's quite espionage as well, and that I liked it. It was a bit weird. It peaked in the middle. But that's like another story completely if we're gonna get into that. So maybe they're setting up some series, but it's all expanded stuff.
They clearly, because obviously Florence Pugh is going to be the future of the MCU, where Scarlett Johansson is the past. I thought that kind of came through within the movie. Like she kind of stole. She probably had the better lines, I thought, and stole quite a lot of the scenes. I really enjoy that figure about her taking the piss out of them. It was very meta, taking the piss out of her, like fighting, landing stance, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I thought that was really clever and effective. She probably had the best Russian accent I reckon in this film. Slipped out a few times, but overall I reckon it worked there. It was the most effective for her. And even when she talks about, like, it gets quite deep when she talks about her this kind of artificial family that they set up to infiltrate in this American neighborhood, and Florence, like, or Scarlett Johansson saying it was fake, didn't mean anything, which is fair enough because these guys like sold you into the Red Room and had your your uterus and everything ripped out. So fair enough, you probably wouldn't be looking back on that too fondly, even if it was like an enjoyable 3 years, just in terms of that contained period. But when Florence Pugh is kind of talking about how that's the only family she knew, and she was too young to know any different. This is all she knew. It's the only parents she had. So I thought there was actually like kind of an emotional depth to those scenes, hidden amongst all the usual like MCU action and humor.
Yeah, I think definitely this stuff hits a lot harder. It's a lot more like child psychological trauma. Like there's always a joke that all superheroes have no parents, But I think in MCU that's less true than it is for like DC. I don't think any DC superheroes have any parents because they just love not having parents, experience character building. But for this one, it's a much more messy childhood for both of them, and I think that hits harder. Like in terms of like actual like bad shit that's happened, like Captain America. Like I imagine he had a pretty traumatic. But he was already a grown up, and he just had him and Bucky. Then he loses his best friend, goes through a world war, and then thinks he dies, and then wakes up 60 years later, and everyone he knows is now dead, basically. Like that's quite traumatic. But he's like old enough to deal with it, But Scarlett Johansson and Florence here, like it hit so much harder. And the way the trailer advertised it, it looked like they were actually a family. And now it kind of makes sense that they're not a family. I was a bit disappointed that wasn't the case. and they weren't like family back together, kick some butt. They actually do kind of sort of hate each other, but they're all spies that have been fucked over by the system themselves. But yeah, I don't know. Like, by the end of it, I preferred it the way it was, and I hope they do more with David Harbour. Like, it was nice how he was a super soldier, and how they revealed it by him just throwing something really heavy, like really early on, and you just kind of like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then, like, aside from that, he's kind of useless throughout the thing. But he's still like a nice character. He kind of lives in his own delusion, his own priorities, himself, and his delusion of grandeur. That everyone pits him against Captain America. No one even knows who he is. So yeah, those aspects of the film I do really like.
I also thought the opening scene was really good, because that's again like because you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
At that point, I have no idea what's going on. Like, they're speaking what? So they're all speaking in American accents. He's instructing them to leave. They don't even have time to like pick up their shoes or anything like that. It's like, what's going on? Is this? I thought this was just like an ordinary family. How does this end up with them being in Russia and then being captured? Like, what's the dynamic here? And they're just in the car. They get to an airstrip. They're getting in the plane. Someone's trying to shoot at them. It's like, what's going on? Are they evil? Are they being attacked by a villain? I don't know. It's very disorientated. So I thought that was a really effective way to start the film like that. You don't really know who these characters are and how this is all going to play out. So I thought that was a good job. Is that something you enjoyed?
Yeah, like the plane scene for me was just really tense, and I like that too. I didn't expect it to be so tense, and to be rooting for people who like were essentially spies. So I enjoyed that, and it was just kind of like sad to see like when they got back to like the airbase or wherever in like Cuba or wherever it was, that they all just like, yeah, you're not a family. Injection. These two get sent that way. You go to the Red Room. You're going back to wherever. He ends up in prison, and Rachel Weisz goes wherever. So yeah, I think the opening was probably one of the strongest sequences in the entire thing.
I feel a lot of times with MCU, you end up having like a same versus same kind of battle at the end, which after that happens in like 8 or 9 movies, it's not as compelling. You know who's gonna come out on top, so you want to see that more like interesting dynamic at play. Like the say, it's like Black Panther is just 2 of the same things going up against each other, kind of the same in The Incredible Hulk, and a lot of other examples. Whereas this one, there's not really like a proper villain. Like obviously Ray Winstone is the big bad, but he's not in loads of scenes. There's only that one like real long dialogue sequence between them two in the office, and then you got Taskmaster, who's just kind of like a robot essentially, again under Microsoft. So it's not like a standard MCU villain. So by the end, you don't have like same versus same battles. I thought that was a refreshing aspect of the film.
Yeah, I think that's ruined too many films. Like it ruined Venom, to be honest, because it's a boring CGI fight, and like you say, with Hulk as well, didn't do so well, and Black Panther as well did well, but I think that's because it was groundbreaking in other ways, but it just wasn't in terms of that. The end fight scene at cinema, I was very, very underwhelmed. I preferred the fight scene when they had their powers taken away. It was so much more interesting, so much better than when they had their suits on, to be honest. And I'm glad, like, you had David Harbour get his ass handed to him by Taskmaster until they just lock him in the thing. And also Taskmaster, that would have been fun if it turned out just to be Greg Davis, because he's quite tall, to be honest. So I would have loved to see that.
Yeah, that would have been very meta. They're aware of the show. In the UK, they just put Greg Davis in there. That'd be very funny.
Well, like if he was in it at another point, like maybe he was like mopping the floors in the Taskmaster's room or something.
I would have rated that on my days. Yeah, this is like some British like producer in the background. It's like, you know, Taskmaster. Yeah, you know what you can do? You can slip him in there. Yeah, so only a few people will get it, but they'll really appreciate it. Yeah.
Nah, quite a lot of people get that. That's quite funny. Did you like the kind of the twist with Taskmaster? Did you see that coming?
What, it being the daughter? The daughter. That scene was terrifying. You know, her face. I wasn't expecting it, because it wasn't like massively deformed in terms of it was like cut. It was just like subtle ways. I think it was how exposed her eye was that was really like terrifying. Because I was just like, oh my god, it wasn't even the like surprise of who it was. It was more just staring at that face and staring at that eyeball and just being utterly petrified of what I was witnessing before I could even like comprehend like what this means for the story. But yeah, I thought that was a good, that was a good reveal to have. That it kind of that adds something more. Yeah, again, adding something more to the climax.
Yeah, and it's almost like a villain she couldn't kill because it was someone who's innocent and someone she'd also created, kind of thing. Yeah, no, I like that bit. I like that bit especially. I was half thinking it would just be a robot, but then that wouldn't really have made sense, to be honest, because it just made more robots.
I feel like you liked the idea of Taskmaster. I feel like that appeals to your sensibilities, like his like not power, but yeah, I guess power. Like the idea that he can like you can learn other people's fighting style quickly and then use that to repel them.
Yeah, we've seen a bit of that before. Like Tony Stark used a little bit in Civil War, and I think all these films are a bit like one of my favorites, like the fight scenes just to watch is like the Winter Soldier, and he's basically just a knockoff Winter Soldier, and just that his kind of like form of fighting, he's not got any superpowers, he's just really strong, really fast, really powerful, and really brutal, but also really tactical and like well trained, and it's just like makes really good like fight scenes to watch. And that bridge fight scene early on, that's really good, the way he almost just boots up off the entire bridge, he just goes flying, and just how like gritty and like he's just aiming to win the fight. Well, she, because we didn't know it was a he or she, she's aiming to win the fight in just as few strikes as possible. And that just always keeps you on the edge of the seat, where they're like the knife is just getting so close to like killing someone. I think that works really well.
Guess we can talk about the post-credit scene now, the one that's gonna drive some of the future plot within the universe. Obviously, Florence Pugh meets up with that woman. Do you know her name? What's her name? Is it
Valentina?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Countess Valentina something or other, I don't know. But meets her, she shows Florence Pugh's character, Yelena, picture of Hawkeye, telling her that he's responsible for Natasha's death. So you see him, I don't know, is she gonna go after him? Is she gonna go after him and then he's gonna explain what really happened, and they're gonna team up in some way, and she's gonna be part of like a new Avengers squad? I don't know. Where do you think this is leading us toward?
I don't know. I think she's been a bit of a dickhead, to be honest. Like saying this is the person responsible. Like that's not how it happened. Let's be honest. And like the way she's come across in Falcon and Winter Soldier, don't really like her either. Like the people she seems to be collecting aren't very nice people, to be honest. And then the people she's targeting are nice people. So I don't really like the way that's going. So maybe that turns out to be the bad squad, but I don't really know.
Maybe they turn. Maybe she goes finds Hawkeye, and then Yelena goes finds Hawkeye, and then they turn on Valentina in some way. I don't know.
She's just a woman, so like no offense to women, but like what's she gonna do? Like she got no powers.
She'll have maybe she'll have an army of bad people to back her up. I don't know.
Maybe they could link like Thor: Love and Thunder. So obviously that's going to keep like the extraterrestrial plot lines going the same way that they kind of linked up Thanos. That another, I don't know, be a bit samey, you know. But I don't know. And you've also got Nick Fury out on a ship, far, far in the galaxy, with all the is it the scrolls or whatever it is?
Oh yeah.
So like there's a few things out there that we haven't really thought about, to be honest. So I don't really know how it's going to all link up. It's definitely interesting.
Don't really have much else to say about Black Widow. Where does this sit? I feel this is kind of like top of the mid tier for me in terms of an MCU film. Like I wouldn't put it up there as like one of the best, but as like a solid. This is because this can pretty much exist as like a standalone. Kind of feel like you could watch this without a load of background knowledge and have a good time. Like there's enough good action sequences, good humor, some flickers of emotions. I think it's like top of the mid tier for me. Where do you have it in your MCU kind of rankings?
I'd say this is they're so hard to rank. Like it's not top 10, but it's like a solid entry. You know, like you rock up and you're not disappointed, if you know what I mean. There's only a few films that are disappointments, but it doesn't mean this is at the bottom of the ladders. But like it's a decent film for a Marvel film as well, which is saying a lot. So yeah, I can't really rank it.
Solid film. You got any more thoughts on Black Widow? Or should we wrap it up?
No, just more David Harbour. Yeah, basically, he's just funny to watch. He's good in Stranger Things, so he's just nice.
That wraps it up for this episode. At Corona Cinema on Instagram, at LeonWait98 on Twitter, Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, Stitcher, Podbean next week. So the main reviews, the Suicide Squad, that's out. The film only came out in 2016, but it was so bad, decided to reboot it with James Gunn at the helm. And since it's James Gunn, we're gonna do the 2 films that he's done that aren't big franchise blockbusters, which were his first 2 films, called Slither and Super. That's coming in the head-to-head. So yeah, big James Gunn week next week. Until then, go well.
Cheers.
Wait! Stop! There's a bomb in the cake. Don't worry. I used to be a bomb guy. Everyone stand back!
Oh my God! Try out! You son of a bitch! You ruined my plans!
Sarah, the sister of the bride, and based on her accent, from origins unknown. I'll take her dead or alive.
Put the weapon down.
Fine. Then it's to be hand-to-hand combat then.
Oh my God!